as close as I can get.
Oh, you can get closer. Come on.
There is no doubt that the business sector wields plenty of power. Power that can shape the world and, if applied with a conscience, positively impact all spheres of civilization. In Conscious Conversations, I, Carmen Murray, chat with a fascinating array of industry leaders and pioneers to explore how doing business with the greater good in mind can lead to better returns and a better South Africa for all. Join me on my voyage of discovery, and together we'll unearth the value, nobility, prosperity, and opportunity that is part and parcel of ethical capitalism.
All right. Hey, and now it's going to be a hey of a different kind, because I used to say Future Fit Tribe, and now I'm changing my story a bit. It's now going to be Conscious Tribe, and I'll give a little bit of explanation shortly. I'm here opening the Conscious Conversations with Faith Popcorn, and she's a very important person in my life because she always keeps me in touch with the future, but at the same time it scares the crap out of me some days, and some days it makes me nervous, and I worry about the future, and I worry about the kids, and I worry about nature and all those kind of things. So I thought it might be the best way to open up this conversation with a person I truly respect and can have a robust conversation. And Faith, a warm welcome. I don't even think you need introduction. You're just the Nostradamus of everything.
No.
I've got something. Look what I found.
Oh my God.
I have to tell you a story.
Okay,
So,
please do.
I believe that your energy introduces you before you walk into a room.
Yeah, that's true.
I went to a toilet, public toilet, and there's a bookstore right next to the entrance where all the toilets are. And I walk past and I see this bookstore, and I'm like, I don't know, but I feel like I want to go in here and go and see if there's any books that will catch my eye. Now, I'm into the esoteric things, and I really love spirituality and all of that. So I'm going through all the things, and I'm about to pay for the books, and something tells me there's a book of yours behind me. And I turn around, and the book is right there at the bottom, like the third one from the bottom. And I was like, this is not even possible. You know how many months since I've known you, I've been trying to get one of your books, and this thing just randomly appears, and it's called Clicking by Faith Popcorn. And here, where you officially called the Nostradamus of marketing. And when I went through it, I was like actually gobsmacked to see how far ahead you actually are in predicting the future.
Is that good?
It is good, but it's also scary.
Yeah.
But
It's good and depressing because people tend not to believe me. It's like that goddess that was, could predict the future, and then nobody ever believed her. And that's me. Nobody believes me. But that's okay. It always turns out to, happen. I think people would be better off if they would open their minds, not be so scared, and say, how can I leverage it? How can I use it in my work? How can I use it in my relationships? So that's what I hope for.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think the conundrum that we're dealing with in society, especially now, is that we have people that, there's not enough balance. We've got monolithic powers and a lot of power in society, and we're seeing a lot of corporates are just propelling forward. And I'll go through a few examples, but I just want to take a step back and just give a little bit of context as to why I decided to move to Conscious Conversations. So I love marketing, and I love the future and everything that it brings. But at the same time, I also don't like how it leaves people behind. And that's a big concern. So anyway, I'm fascinated by the human design, and I decided, okay, I'm going to start studying numerology. I've been in it for 6 months now. I'm almost a numerologist. And it's fascinating. I've been helping. My teacher has involved me in how to solve crime, how to solve missing people cases, fraud, I've been working on some serious things in the back end, also doing elections and those kind of things. So it's really been fascinating for me to look through it through a numerology lens. But what I find fascinating is that numerology and astrology, for example, are elements that have been kept away from us for such a long time. Like we don't even, we see it as this big sin, but it's actually the human design can be understood so well by understanding the theory behind these elements. But before I digress, but having those GPS coordinates really helps you to understand your purpose, how you fit into society, where you belong, who you connect with, who you don't connect with, how you can connect with them, and actually shape and be a better person. And I've really learned a lot from it. But in the same lens, I've decided, you know what, I don't like what I see in the world. I'm going to take myself out and I'm going to actually take a sabbatical for the first time since I was 16 years old. And just pay attention, as you always say to me, Carmen, always pay attention to the moment, because this moment now is history. And I must tell you, I started observing things and seeing things, and I went like, I don't know if this is the society that we want to be in. I think that we need to have a variety of people that can make people aware and to allow for consciousness to be more prevalent in society, because I feel like it's a very much a power and an ego game at the moment in technology, and not a lot of co-creation, not a lot of counter AI, not a lot of things that keeps people in mind. What's your view?
I think we're evolving out of being people the way you mean it, which is flesh and blood, as we're crossing with robotics, with ChatGPT, and then just plain GPT-4. Have you played with it? I mean, it's amazing.
Very.
And it's just an infant. Just think, if you have a little infant in your house and you expect it to be like a PhD, not yet, but it's learning to crawl and walk, and that's where chat is. And it's a great mistake to ignore it. It is going to develop. It's crossing with us. It can answer things that will take you hours and minutes. Sometimes it's wrong now. It's not fully there. But it should convince us that we need to meld our, mentality with this form, because that is the evolution. Listen, when the apes stood up, I don't think they congratulated each other. Oh, we're standing up, how cool. Because it happened, very slowly, and then maybe one got up and another got up, and that's evolution. The people that are evolving very rarely are aware that they're evolving, but we are evolving into a different life, a different life form. Hopefully, GBT will help us find more peace in the world. I keep putting in this question: how can we find world peace? What would it take? It's advising me about these, maybe a board of directors mixed with robotics that can figure out some solutions. It's not going to be too hateful. I think one human is hateful, but, it's not going to be between Russia and like the lovely Ukraine, two humans actually figuring it out.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Carmen, in the Popcorn Report, which is now 1990, we said wars would be fought with robots. And look what happened. And how many years ago? That's, 33 years ago, we saw that. It was very easy to see. And now we have drones, and soon, we're going to have robotic soldiers. So it's going to be a technological war. Not not human strength.
Yeah, it's a, I think, there was this blackboard that was developed in Japan in the children's schools, and this blackboard uses AI and technology, and it scans, when the teacher's written on the board, it scans over the board, and it then converts it into text, and it gets sent to the students so that they have notes of what the teacher wrote on that board. And I looked at that and I went, are we innovating around the right things? Because I think the educational system needs to change. we're innovating everything around it, but we don't get to the root of the actual problem. And for me, when I look at these things, I'm like, okay, what is the actual root of the problem here? What is your view on that?
Well, here's the thing. Being, the most horrible student on the planet and having a handwriting that's illegible, I think it's absolutely wonderful to have written notes. It's so ridiculous that you have to actually write something. It's silly. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. The thing with, education is it's not customized. We have a trend in the bank that's been there forever called economics, the economics of marketing to the ego, the one. And, you and I, we're kind of similar characters, but we learned probably differently. And not just saying visual learner or auditory learner, but just everything about us. Maybe you learn better on a walk, or, learn better with music, or I learn better without music. Or that's what's wrong with education. It should not be a bunch of people drawn into the classroom. And that's what's going to be next. Just like people don't want to go back to the office, or I call it their little cubicles, prison cells, their little prison cells. You're not going to put a kid in the classroom. What could be more boring?
Yeah. And I also think we got a lot of wise souls that's coming into the planet right now. And if we look at the young people that's coming in, and the other day I saw a video of a 15-month-old baby playing musical instruments like it's just a natural thing.
Wow.
And I was like flabbergasted. You see more and more of these little kids that are like these, I don't know, proteges. Like, it's unbelievable. But I think for me personally and just to get to that point, December 2022, I got diagnosed with autism. I also got diagnosed, I've got ADHD and dyslexia, which I think a long time ago. But the autism was interesting. My dad had autism, and I thought, let me just go and have a look and see. But it's my empath side. So I actually decided I'm actually going to stop taking medication that prevents me from being anxious and, to numb myself down. I'm actually going to feel what I'm feeling. And since I've done that, I've actually started to realize how sensitive I am. How I hear things is 10 times louder than other people. How I experience things. It's unbelievable. And now wow.
Tell us more. I think a lot more people are. It sounds better to say you're on the spectrum, right? Than you're.
I like neurodiverse. I like neurodiverse.
Yeah. But tell me how it's manifesting in you, this autism.
So I'm very high functional, and it's not really a term that I like to refer to, but for me it's very important to understand the different terminologies, because we don't like it to refer to Asperger's. So going through this process was quite, being discovered in your being an adult is very different, I think, as a child. I think that I've conditioned myself to survive, so it didn't impact me. But now I start going like, oh my gosh, now I understand why I'm an empath, or why I'm a sensitive. I can pick things up miles away. I can hear things that other people necessarily don't hear, or sounds annoy me, white noises and things like I can hear it in my ears right now.
Yeah.
And also the way that I apply my creativity and my systems thinking and how I get myself out of boxes is very different. So I do see it did help me, but at the same time I wish I had the tools that I had now, because I have to also say that AI helps a lot of these things. ChatGPT, as an example, is very useful for me because I don't like to sit and write. I like to gather the information, and then I bring my storytelling and my right brain into the conversation, because I don't like regurgitation. I like things to be unique and enticing, and storytelling and quirky facts and things that just connects the dots. And I don't think a computer can do it the way we do as humans. And I think that is a part for me, like it was quite traumatic, December up until January, February of making acceptance with it. because, you know, people, I mean, you see all the videos going around and people joking about ADHD and dyslexia and, you know, a neurodiversity, but it's also being so embraced by the corporate world, which is so wonderful for diversity and inclusion.
It is. I know quite a few people with ADHD, and there are those that feel that their creativity is boosted by their distractibility.
Yes.
But I think maybe yours, but I think a lot of them are hurt because they can't focus, they can't concentrate, they jump from thing to thing, they don't finish anything. They're criticized by their peers and teachers, and I think it causes great psychological harm, not giving your kids the medications that they need.
So I have a different opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, but I mean, if you look at ADHD, you know, Ritalin and those kind of things, it's like baby cocaine. I know of a few people that's been on it that sit with addiction problems. So it all depends, if you look at your human design, whether you're going to have a habit of becoming addicted or not to these kind of things. But from my perspective, I want to go the natural way. So I do Reiki, I do a lot of meditation, mindful practice, all of things that's more spiritual that actually helps me to navigate that. Now, where I feel I have an advantage is ADHD. So that's autism and ADHD, because autism, when I'm interested in something, and that goes into supervolt, because then I focus. But I mean, from my perspective, it's also very important when you hire, you have to be conscious of the people around you and what you like to do and what other people like to do, and how you bring them together to optimize experiences for clients and so forth. And I don't think the workforce is created for that.
That's true. But what I understand, and you know, I've talked to so many different, you know, kinds of doctors in our talent bank, 10,000, you know, futurists, is that if you have ADHD, the medicine is not the high. If you really don't, or you have a different, it has to be chemically, you know, balanced off or prescribed. But if you need it and you don't have it, you're always feeling like bad, you know, in complete frantic. I see franticness in a lot of these people. I don't know. I'm very pro chemistry. I think meds are fantastic. I prescribe myself with it. I'm my own Dr. Pop, I call myself. And I thought it was very useful. I liked it. I mean, you know, do you feel like you'd be addicted to heart medicine if you took it every day? No.
No, but I mean, the psychedelics, there's like a microdoses of psychedelics or mushrooms and stuff like that. I mean, those things actually does make an impact. I mean, like there's lion's mane, and they're not addictive, which is, and it's a very natural type of remedy for it. I mean, there's also a very big holistic community also rising and growing on the side, and I was blown away to see how big this community is when I started my research, just going down my own rabbit hole, not trying to be that person. You know, sometimes you're like, oh no, another tree hugger, what now? But now you're like, oh my gosh, now actually what they're saying is making sense, so let me try this. And there's things that works for people and don't work, and you have to find what works for you.
Absolutely. I met a very elderly Chinese man, a master, called himself, who throws the I Ching. Yeah. So I thought, like, what? You know, like the thing, you know, and then he reads it, and then he tells you what. So he said to my fabulous chief of staff, who you know very well, Kathleen Cantwell, when she was pre-interviewing him, making sure, you know, like that he was sane, you know, whatever. And he said, oh, you've been with Faith. Wow, 25 years. That's a very long time.
Meanwhile.
Now, let me tell you, Carmen, that has never been printed, written anywhere. He could not that he was into the internet, far from it, but we were just like, what? You know? Then I got right on with him. He was fascinating. He told me to be near water. You need water. You have to drink water. You have to be near water. And you should be swimming, which I don't, which I should, I guess. I don't know. He was very, very interesting.
It's very interesting. And you know what I find fascinating is, like, if you look at America, if you look at Russia and intelligence agencies, you're hearing a lot of people that are energy manipulators and people that are in war zones and things, that are psychics, remote viewing, where they go and they can find things before. It's unbelievable. There's this, you must look it up. It's called Mindfold. It's this, you put it on your face, and it actually, you can't see any light. I ordered myself one. And basically, there's a lot of kids that actually, everybody can learn how to do this, but you literally take yourself out of yourself, and then you actually start looking into the room where you focus and let your energy go there. And people can start seeing, they can play noughts and crosses, not being able to see anything through that lens. And I promise you can't see anything through that mindfold. And they play games. They bring them random books to read. They read the books, and they read it word for word with their fingers, where they can see it, but they can't see it with their physical eyes. They see it with their psychic eyes. And you're seeing more and more kids actually growing and learning about this. You know me, I love mediums, I love astrology, numerology. I'm really into it. And I've really also embraced it with my own journey. And that's why I feel like my emotional intelligence and how I'm expanding is I'm starting to be able to connect differently with my energy and with things around me, which helps me with my ability to predict the future within the work that I do.
Well, I've always called you a futurist, and I think you are a futurist. And I'm working on a course. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do it. I don't know. So it's called How to Think Like a Futurist. Not to teach people what the future is, but how to get there themselves. And you're absolutely right. There's a third eye. There's a predictive area of the brain that we all have. Everything that you're saying is very true, and you do think like a futurist. I want to know how you spent your time, time when you said you're going to take a step back, and what did you do every day when you woke up?
One of my friends said to me, Carmen, if you're going to take a sabbatical, plan it. And I did the opposite.
No, how can you plan? You shouldn't plan a sabbatical. No! That's an oxymoron. I mean, really?
So she said, that's the advice she would give me. And I decided, I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm actually going to go with the flow. So I actually used this time to read a lot, which I haven't done in a long time.
Yeah.
I started to learn about the things about how my brain, the inner workings of my brain, how everything is working. I try to understand what I like to absorb, what I don't like to absorb. So, for example, there's this new thing about how you read, and having certain letters in bold to make it easier for you to read. It's fascinating. I started working on the structure of my book. I'm going to write my book, and I'm meaning this now.
Okay.
So I started on the structure of my book, and I'm gently starting to write about my journey with my dad with autism, myself, learning my journey, what I've learned along the way. But I think more importantly for me is I've really embraced spirituality and just connecting myself. I wanted to highlight this quote for you. Eckhart Tolle, I think, if I'm saying it correct, says,
you are.
In today's rush, we all think too much, we seek too much, want too much, and forget about the joy of just being. And I was just being. And I promise you, I'm coming back, like you say, clicking into the future. I'm clicking into consciousness, and I want to make an impact on the world. I really want to do something good, and I feel like I know exactly my direction, where I want to go, what's my plan, how I'm going to get there. And I just feel everybody needs to take a time and pause, because I feel like everybody's unconsciously walking through the society and not paying attention what's going on.
I know. It's our lists. We have a list for everything. I have a personal list, a business list, a kids list. Oh my God. I mean, this book influenced me a lot. It came out recently. It's called The Battle for Your Brain. You would like this.
Oh,
you can interview her. I interviewed her on Joel T. Her name is Nita Farahani. And this is what she says, essentially. Your brain is the next platform that people are going to try to invade. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing that already with Neuralink. You think Elon Musk is trying to straighten out your brain, your spine from your brain? No, he's trying to read your mind, because reading people's mind gives them, other people's minds gives you such power. You know what they're going to buy. You know what they're thinking. You know everything. So there's a lot of brain invasion, and she talks about it as being the last bastion of our freedom. It's got incredible reviews. It's really a wonderful book. And she's a wonderful person. And I think that's the thing we have to try to protect is it's not like not cookies. Okay, track me on the internet. Who cares? It's like what's going on in there. Mm-hmm. And I believe that we talk to each other, this without words.
100%. Telepathy is a very big thing, and I think that society, if you look at the consciousness of society, 2012, a major shift in the planets happened, and not that I'm trying to bring all my weird things to the surface.
They're not weird. Come on. Don't let people tell you that.
But the age of the Aquarius symbolizes a time of discovery. So we're now in the age of the Aquarius, and the age of the Aquarius in astrology is all about technology. It's all about innovation and progress. But at the same time, it's about the ruler of society and ruler of the world. And, in different religions, it's referred to as different things, like the Antichrist, whatever it might be. But in the age of the Aquarius, one of the things is all about the future. And then this is the uprising of humanitarian ideals. It's cooperation and brotherhood. And people are going to start creating communities, collective mind, where they start trading with each other because of trust issues with what's going on there. And I do believe that we are going to start seeing intellectual freedom, and where we're going to start being more spiritually intelligent. So, for example, I know a lot of mediums, but also with myself, not that I call myself a medium or anything, but I have had certain instances where I could see things or feel things close to me, or I could get message or something like that, depending on what's in the environment and how I'm connecting that day or downloading that day. And one of the things I have to tell you is that if you know how to protect yourself, people can't access your mind unless you're going to put some technology in it. But I think that this is the kind of transition that we're going to see. There's some great episodes on videos and not videos. I'm sounding like somebody from the 90s. Listen, there's a lot. Oh my goodness, there is a lot of content around about people and how to protect and how they do remote viewing, where you can follow energy debris of people and how they can solve crime. It's unfreaking believable, Faith.
Really? Energy debris. I like that.
Yeah, it's like you leave your energy behind. Like there's all this. This is the kind of technology I love. Is to see the energy clouds behind you and the colors. And how when you sit on a chair and you move from the chair, you can actually see your energy debris on the chairs. Our hearts beat at a massive rate, and when our hearts beat, we can actually reach our energy can reach people by 30 feet. So it's important for us also to be very, very cognizant of the fact that we are also going to learn how to manipulate energy, like telepathy and all of those kind of things. And hopefully marketers and people that are going to do this job in the future are not going to exploit it, but actually work with human beings' lives and work with animals and the environment, and actually do good things for each other by having access to spirituality. And I also believe that when you have those abilities, you can't use it for bad things. Unless you choose. No. You get people that do, but I think people are getting into a stage where they're tired of information, they want wisdom.
I like that. That's very good. That could be a t-shirt, Carmen.
I heard it from Tony Robbins. I can't say that.
Oh, you did?
Myself.
Oh my God, Tony! I love Tony. I think Tony was great.
Yeah, he's very cool.
Tony is one of the reasons I adopted my first child, because he made us make this list of 5 things we wanted. One was a baby for me, and once you have it, like that's 25 years ago. Once you have it, like you go get it. You don't even know how you're going down that path, but you do get it. I am very interested in communicating with animals. My daughter, I'm so proud of, Georgica, is going to be an animal conservationist. She wants to go to vet school because she wants to be able to treat the animals she finds. So she just graduated college. So sometimes when you look in a dog's eyes, and I know you're very passionate about your dog, you feel that they're really, like Gigi said, they're looking into your soul. Mm-hmm. And they get you. And I give my dogs massages. I've studied how to give them massages, like different pressure points in the back of their neck, and horses too.
I know, they are so spiritual animals, those ones.
I love horses. So yeah, I know. So are you back in the world now, Carmen? Or?
Yes, I've checked in. I'm coming in to disrupt. I'm going to do things my unique way. I definitely want to start, working to make progress and speak up for things that I feel needs to be spoken for, and also how to dance with what we have and what we're creating, but at the same time just creating consciousness around, hey, just think that this could maybe be, like, for example, AI. Are we starting to think about counter AI strategies? How are we starting to think about humanity as a whole, and how whatever we like, I mean, you surely know what's going on here in South Africa. You've got many clients here as well. Our load shedding is next level. I think today we had 10.5 hours of no power. We have an average of 3.5 hours that we can work if it rains or anything like that. We, the normal problems.
I know we work with, of course, Investec, but we also work with MediClinic and some others. So what would be, in your view, how do you cure for that? What is the cure?
I really believe that we need to start looking at alternative resources. I don't think lithium batteries and together with solar panels is the future, because it's taking from the planet. I think we need to start looking at oceans. I think we need to look at alternative ways, the sun, and see how we can actually create energy using different forms. I do also, it's very interesting for me to see also in terms of load shedding and where energy is becoming crisis. In numerology, for example, last year was the year of 6, and 6 is all about, it was the global year of 6, which is all about energy, gas, and oil. And that's going to become a very big problem. We're going to start seeing water issues, contamination of water. This is going to become a global issue, not just the issue in one country. So from my perspective, I do think that we as people need to start looking at alternative resources as to how we can get energy, and how we can also, preserve our water. And you'll start seeing a lot of people are talking about water, and having purifiers and different electromagnetic purifiers in their water in their homes, because the other day I saw a content where a guy's dog doesn't want to drink our water, and he drinks bottled water only, and then eventually he decided to go and get kits to test the water, and there's something in our water, and that those are the things that, the chemicals and stuff that are being used. Are we thinking of how we're protecting society and the repercussions of not protecting society? What is it going to do on the medical front? All of these things. I just think that a lot of people don't have foresight, and sometimes things seem obvious, and then I don't understand how people cannot think about the next step.
If last year was 6, what's this year?
This year is 7, so this is the year.
That's my lucky number.
Yes, it's the jackpot number from the universe, but yes. Also from a numerology perspective, 7s represents insecurity, but it's also a very emotional number. It's also a number that's all about a chameleon, this and that. It's also a lot of drama and cultural experiences. So that's why we're seeing a lot of news and things happening in the music industry. I think we had Sam, and usually your energy of the next year starts 3 months before the actual year starts. So it's usually from October, November, December. So then that starts shifting in. So we still have a debris from the previous year's 6s that's still sitting with us. And you'll see how they overlap. But it's fascinating.
And then next year's 8, is that it?
Yes, it's the year of communication.
Okay, good. You're going to do very, very well being a beautiful communicator.
Oh my goodness, y'all. Let's see how that goes. But Faith, how are you doing? Tell me what's been going on in your world. I mean, everything you said about metaverse and AI, you got it all, girl. You said it's going to happen. And here November comes and AI, it's like an AI twins everywhere. Oh, I have to tell you a story.
What?
Did you see the Wall Street Journal, Joanna Stern, a journalist? She did a story about can my AI voice and video clone replace me? It went out yesterday.
Oh, I'll take a look. And is the answer yes?
Yes.
Yes, it is
Fooled
true.
the banks. The banks did a transaction with her biometric data. I mean, that scares me.
But even more, I mean, I think more importantly than the paperwork, you know, that it can imitate you, or be you, it can really be you. I mean, it can multitask in a way that we have never thought about. Like, take the kids to school, you stay home, you go to work, you do this. It's sort of creating your own community of yous. You know, it's a bit like, it's hard for people to grip because the ego is so strong. We think there's only one me, one me. I'll tell you another thing that's very hard for people to get is uploaded consciousnesses end of death. So you're dying and you upload your consciousness into a computer, right? So kids are going to hate it, younger people, because the parent will still be bossing them around and managing the money. And not leaving them any, you know, it'll still be, and then you won't maybe, and then eventually, I mean, you could put that consciousness into a new body for sure. And what's that going to be like? And also age reversal, rather than living longer, is living younger. So your brain is still your brain from all the years that you lived, but your body can be the year you choose. I want to be, 35. So age reversal is, I think, a big one. So that's two things. But also I wanted to ask you, how much is it possible to have a lot of money and be a conscious human?
That's a very that's a very deep question. If I look at, like if we refer to them as light workers, I think Dolly Parton is one of those. She's got a lot of money, but she also gives away a lot of money. And she's also really a humanitarian and involved in things. And she always says, if I don't give away, then everybody's going to come and ask me for it
I have to interrupt you. So do you know that Dolly is recreating herself as uploading herself, her face, her body, her voice, her words, so that her people can continue making money after she's physically gone. Yes.
Oh, so she's taking care of the future generation.
Her people.
I love that. But that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, if you have money, is to give away or take care of those people around you. I think if it's all for yourself.
I want to know more about your father, how he displayed his autism and how that affected you as, let's say, a 5-year-old little girl, a 3-year-old little girl.
So for me, with my dad, we only found out in his 70s, but I always knew there was something wrong with him. I think I spoke like 1,000 words with him. He always used to. He couldn't have an intellectual conversation. He used to withdraw. He was all about numbers. That's why I started doing numerology, so I can actually understand what was his fascination with numbers, because that might be the only connection I could have with him. And it was very difficult because both my grandfathers committed suicide one when I was four and a half months old. So I didn't know really male figures in my life. And it was almost, I don't know if you've ever watched the movie I Am Sam. My life growing up with my dad was like an I Am Sam movie, just a little bit backwards.
So he didn't speak much. How did he use numbers?
He used it for horse racing. So he used to sit with the horse racing books and he used to just calculate which horses are going to win. And he was very good with math. I was not good with math, but he was exceptionally good with it. But my dad and I could just never connect. And also for me personally, is I felt embarrassed by him. Like, to be honest, I felt like ashamed of him because he didn't display himself. I think when I was like 12 years old or 10 years old, somewhere around there, I felt like my understanding of adults and of being and of life, I surpassed him. I felt like I was the adult between the two of us.
I'm sure you were. And great. How did your mother stand this?
My mom and I were always like close, and we always used to go out and go to the movies and be away from my dad. And my dad was a person, he would wake up 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning, be in the garden, and then he hides himself in his garage and we see him at 6 o'clock at night. He braais for us and then he goes to bed. That was kind of like how it was. But he was a person of routine, and he had to follow that routine. And now for me, reading all of these books and really trying to understand neurodiversity, I'm starting to see, it wasn't his fault. And if only there was more transparency and we had the tools like we have today to even grasp and understand that, and of those who actually have the guts to speak up about it, I would have had a different relationship with him. And I think that is very important, because you still hear the moment where, and that's why I sometimes do give the shock effect. I have autism, right? I'm saying that because the first thing that people say is, oh, shame, I'm sorry to hear that. Or the response is actually coming from a very uninformed place. Whereas I do think that people need to start having a better understanding, because I think all of us, our brains work very differently. It doesn't mean...
No. You could say I have a better intro for you. Maybe it's better. You could say just like Bill Gates, I have autism.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, there's actually quite a few of them. But yeah. I mean, the thing that's very fascinating for me is that it's a left-brain society that we're currently living in. So left brain is all about innovation, it's all about technology, it's all about language, blah, blah, blah. If we look at the right-hand side, it's creativity, and it's very interesting to see these unicorns, not just as billionaires, but these unicorns with the left brains and right brains starting to rise up in society. And people that have never nurtured creativity are feeling threatened. Because technology and creativity is starting to emerge as this one massive thing.
Yeah, very interesting, fascinating. Well, I think you should just maybe take another sabbatical.
No, I want to get out there. I want us to if you want me for research, you must just give me a shout. I'm more than happy to help.
And I want to put you on we have a podcast called Jolty. And I want to interview you.
I would love that.
Me and my friend Adam Hamt, he's a genius, a real genius.
I've listened.
Knows a lot about everything, a lot. But he'll find you, of course, fascinating. So Kathleen is on. We'll set that up. I think you'd be great guest. And I love talking to you. Too long.
I know, my hun. I miss you, and I've just been so in my own little world, and I
That's
just
okay.
had to do it for myself.
I'm glad you did. How did your husband vibe with it? Was he okay with that?
Very cool. Actually, he didn't want me to go back to work. I was like, I'm going. I have work to do. I've got a job. It's in my human design. But I want to finish off this podcast and this episode, and I just want to say, all right, so in your book, Clicking, you have an acronym: the courage, letting go, insight, and commitment, and know-how. That is what CLICK's acronym is. If you have a departing message for us, how do we have courage, let go of our fears, and also have insight into where the future is going, but also the commitment and create to the future we want to create, and the know-how, and what's the right things to do. Maybe you've got a little message for us.
Well, I don't know. My message, in answer to this great question, is, I hope, just not disappointingly basic, which is this: surround yourself with people that can lift you. Surround yourself with people that are a little smarter than you, a little more sensitive than you, kinder than you, richer than you, better educated than you, or leading a more spiritual life, or whatever your goals are. Because what happens about people that can see, and I was saying the Cassandra effect, you know, is that they're demoralized by the people around them that tell them, no, it's not going to happen. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you have a learning disability. Oh, you know. So surround yourself in a pod of loving, but not enabling in a bad way, but loving support and kindness and consciousness. Mm-hmm. And that's what I would say is, you know, for me, when I realized this 10 minutes ago, but, you know, not recently, helped me a lot.
So true. And you know, when you actually get rid of the people that actually does not serve you well as a being, it actually elevates you in a remarkable way. And you start seeing who's the community that you want to have around you. You know that we are the only beings or the only creatures or animals on the planet that cannot give birth by ourselves. We need community. We need people. We just need to make sure it's the right people.
Well, why can't you mean we can't give birth by ourselves, meaning we need somebody to help us deliver a baby?
Well, for now, until a robot pulls it out of you or jacks it out of you.
You're gonna get pregnant in a tank. The little embryo is gonna be floating around the tank. You can watch it grow, talk to it, play music. Oh
no!
Yes, of course, if you want to.
Yeah, okay. I'll do that with a dog. It would be fascinating to see how my dog...
You want to give birth to a dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
They give an unconditional love.
They do.
Oh, Faith, it was so amazing.
Sweetheart. I love you.
You to bits. Love you so much.
Me too.
Chat to you soon.
I'll see you soon. Yes, for sure.
Okay, my love. Have a good one.
Bye, Carmen. Yes, you too.
Bye.
Bye.